So this morning we'll be looking at the headlines from ABS website as well as some national dailies. And I have joining me in the studio Mr. Jackson Chibo-Scott, public affairs commentator. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
And I also have Mr. Timothy Nwachukwu, public affairs commentator, also joining us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
I know it's Christmas, and how has the celebration been for you?
Of course, it's been wonderful, and of course, the joy is in the air.
Okay.
And we've been having a nice time generally. And
all right, Scott, for you?
For me, I think it's more of a family time where you have to see your loved ones, celebrate with people, also give back to the society, to give back to people that are less privileged, to people that can't even afford the kind of life you're living at the moment. So
okay, let's run now to ABS website, www.absradiotv.com, where we have how Obiano redefines security through innovations and modern technology. Contractors accelerate work on road projects in Anambra. Philanthropist Chibo gives succor to over 2,000 indigent widows in Obo, Orumba North. Sponsors used to study at ABS Film Academy. Industrial development, federal government tax on power and infrastructure. Enugu community celebrate masquerade festival. Those are the major stories that we have on ABS website. You can go there to get the details and more. One of the major stories there is how Obiano redefines security through innovations and modern technology.
Yeah, the digital governor of Anambra State, Chief Dr. Willie Obiano, has left no stone unturned. Of course, he's a pace-setter. Remember that during his first tenure when he came into power, the first thing he did was to organize a security summit. He flew in the best security expert from Israel. He prioritized security. And little wonder he has continually emerged the best governor of the year in security in Nigeria. And to think about it, that he too has been a victim of robbery and other incidents and vices. He has been able to bring to bear his negative experiences, turning into positive experiences by transforming Anambra State. Before now, Anambra used to be home for all criminals. But today, Anambra State is the light of the nation, especially in security and in all-round development.
So how do you think we are going to sustain this success that has been made? The governor announced that very soon the CCTV installations will be made in different parts of the state, starting with the 3 major cities, and then currently there is an air surveillance going on throughout the state. How do you think that these successes already made in security can be sustained beyond that, or even beyond his tenure?
I think what the governor is doing is he's just trying to conform or align himself to 21st century statecraft model. Every government, especially in developed nations, now want to align themselves with the recent technologies, and that's exactly what the governor is trying to do. Now he's trying to bring in technology to ensure that there is effective running of the state and making sure that there is transparency in everything that the people do. One of the things that this security is going to also help us achieve is security, which I believe is his paramount goal in this administration. So I believe sustaining is not an issue. The issue is about monitoring, ensuring that people that you put in place are doing the right thing. And I believe it's going to help Anambra State and make it one of the best states in the country.
All right, we'll run now to the Daily Sun newspaper, where we have the major and big story there. Police nab killers of Bade, ex-chief of defense staff. Suspects to be paraded today. Beside the nameplate, we have Pan-Igbo Group Eastern Front roars over 2023 presidency, slams presidency for alleged double dealing. I don't align with Amoshun on next Ogun governor. That's coming from Obasanjo. PDP, APC trade wars over corruption war. Controversy over desertion in police. Policemen allegedly abscond from training in Yobe. Police says it is not true. Buhari retaining IGP to rig 2019 elections. That's coming from Atiku spokesman. And now let's look at some of the stories. Caught the big story: police nab killers of Bade. I don't know. Is this a news to cheer about? Is it strategic?
In fact, the day this news broke out, I felt very bad because Alex Bade was one time chief of defense staff to former Goodluck Jonathan. He's a 4-star general in the Air Force, So him being murdered and massacred like just an ordinary civilian is not just good at all. It tells a lot about the country and how bad the country has gotten to. Really, because you can never hear such a thing happen in any part of the world where a former chief of defense staff of a country gets murdered just like that. So I think it's high time the government ramp up its security. Intelligence has to be at par in this government. And I believe investigations to fish out the perpetrators of this crime has to be something that government should take as priority at this time, because it's a bad thing that we're entering into 2019 elections and we have someone of this category, of this caliber, being killed like this. So what fate holds the normal people in the country? So I believe the federal government should rise up to its responsibility, ensure that they fish out the people that killed this man that has served the country all his life, and make sure that such a thing doesn't repeat itself again in any time soon.
Okay, coming to you, he raised the issue of ordinary citizens. We've seen efforts being made by the forces to ensure that people who killed Bade, and then the other military general that was killed sometime in October were nabbed. But we are seeing killings going on in Zamfara State, where ordinary persons, the masses, are being massacred without any recourse. What does this say about our security system in the country?
It presents a great danger, but I want to say this. It's not a cheering news that the masterminders of the killers of Alex Bade have been arrested. I don't trust Nigerian police. You see, there is this media trial that goes on in the country. Nigerian police or the security agencies are supposed to do intelligence gathering. Why would they rush to the press to tell us that these people has been nabbed? How sure are they? So that is one of the challenges we have in Nigeria. Most times the security agencies do rush to the press to announce that they have done this, and at the end of the day, you might discover that these are innocent people who are just going about the normal businesses that have been nabbed. Now, talking about the citizens who have been left to protect themselves, is quite unfortunate that the government of Nigeria, permit me to say, doesn't value the life of a citizen. Of course, the Constitution is there, Section 14, the welfare of the citizens is the priority of the government, but unfortunately, the federal government has failed, and not just failing in protecting the life of the citizens, but failing in changing the heads of the security apparatus. I don't understand why 3 years, almost 4 years to his administration, the president has continued to retain the same people who have failed Nigerians in all facets of our security life. The idea of police is still there. He's even extending his tenure. Is he not aware of the killings going on?
And maybe that's why some accusations are coming in some quarters, that maybe he wants to use them to...
Of course.
Although we don't know how true that is.
Yes, we don't know how true that. Of course, that's the work of the opposition party. They try to leverage on this. But, there are insinuations that because of the role that the IG then in Kano State played to get the president to power, that he was rewarded above most of his seniors, and of course, part of the reward is still there. I think Nigerians, the government should be able to rise above politics by ensuring that the life of the citizens, the welfare of the citizens counts by getting the best, instead of playing politics with... All
right, before we move over to the next paper, there is a story here that I just want us to look at. Say, Igbo Group, Eastern Front, rules over 2023 presidency. Do you think is anything to make noise about?
The truth is, we've decided to play politics in a very unfair manner, because I believe when you want to roll out your programs, your plans, and your manifestos for winning an election, it shouldn't be based on if I win, power will shift to your region. It should be based on what I've done or what I will do when you elect me. So this era of trying to bring in the fact that Igbos are hoping that they're going to be in presidency in the next dispensation, I think it shouldn't even come into play at all. Let's always talk about what do you have on the table for us? What plans do you have for us? So I think Igbos should learn to play the best politics, not just a good politics, but should learn to play the best politics.
But it seems as if some Igbo leaders of thought are buying into that bait.
Yeah, permit me to say this. Nigeria have always stood on the tripod of the Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba. We can't forget the role Dr. Benjamin Namdazikiwe played in actualizing the Nigerian dream. But it's unfortunate that because of the war, the Igbos have been relegated to the background. I don't understand why zoning the president to the south, it should be a big issue. Permit me to say that APC, they are not sincere In fact, they're not sincere. Why wouldn't they, since 1999 to now, no Igbo man have had a shot on the presidency or the vice? Why would they relegate the Igbos to the background? At the end, at every election, you see the Igbos at the forefront campaigning for them. I think for the sake of justice and equity, 2023, the presidency should return to Southeast.
Okay, but some people still say that power is not given his
It's taking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's now move over to the Daily Times. We have on the Daily Times, Buhari to Atiku, you ought to be in jail if the system was working. No, don't blame Nigerian system for your failure, coming from the ex-VP. 9 days after suspected killers of ex-CDS, but they are arrested. Don't make Buhari's family an issue in 2019 polls. Presidency warns PDP. Aviation workers pray for safety, violence-free 2019 elections. Insurgency, NEMA registers fresh 2,046 IDPs in Borno. Those are the major stories that we have on the front page of the Daily Times. Can we look at this Buhari-Atiku disagreement? Buhari says you ought to be in jail if the system was working. The vice president is saying no. Don't blame Nigeria's system for your failure. Do you hold the same view with him?
No. I mean, if they've done all sorts of media trials against Atiku at this time, I believe it's very unfair because this guy has been out of government for a long time. And if the government has found him wanting, or the EFCC or the SCP has found him wanting, they would have prosecuted him before now. How come he gets to the election, Atiku becomes a topic, and they keep rolling about that he's a criminal, he's this and that. And he has asked them, if you have any evidence against him, bring it forward. You know, and up until now, they've not been able to hold anything against him. So I think the current government should just focus on the good plans they have for Nigerians and campaign on that, rather than trying to malign someone's character.
Okay, now talking about focusing on the good programs they have, the PDP is accusing the cronies or the kingsmen of Buhari. They said these people were wretched and poor even before the elections in 2015, and today they are stupendously rich. Now, both of these arguments, whether from between the president and the vice president, or between the PDP and the family of Buhari, hinges on corruption. I don't know, are we going to take this behind and focus on what you are delivering when we know there are corruption issues facing people who are in this race?
Unfortunately, there is a saying that those who live in glass house shouldn't throw stone. Permit me to say that the APC or the presidency have no moral justification to even tell Atiku that if where the system work, which system, what are they there for? Are they not there to make the system to work? In climes where systems work, that Atiku ought to be in jail. In climes where system work, the vice president should be answering questions about what transpired in NEMA fund that was looted. In climes where things work, the former SGM, Babachi Lawal, should be prosecuted.
But you know, the president was saying that some people were resisting the positive or the reforms that are bringing to the system. Can't you see that maybe the presidency is working to bring reform while some of those who have been in the political cartel are trying to stop those reforms? I wanted to come in, but I wanted to...
Now listen to me. You see, when the president got it wrong was when he said he belongs to nobody, not even to Nigerians. In other words, he's not accountable to Nigerians. Talking about reform, he came on the goodwill that he stands for anti-corruption. But unfortunately, since he came on board, we've seen more corruption. Remember, the president told us during the last election, build-up to the election, that there was something like that. Subsidy is a fraud. I remember we used to buy fuel at 97 naira. And today, of course, at one point or another, they denied payment of subsidy. But today, they still pay subsidy. So why are we still buying fuel for 145 naira? So, talking about cartel, if the president thinks that he's not competent in climes where things work, he will tender his resignation.
Mr. Chibo's court.
I think the president himself, as an individual, might be a very good person. But you know, fighting corruption goes beyond just you as an individual. There are a lot of things that you need to put in place. That's why we talk about technology, ensuring technology to ensure transparency and all of that. Now, if the president believes that there are a lot of things that needs to be done that he has not been able to achieve, I believe he should look within. It's not just about pointing fingers. We elected you there to do the right thing. Because if governance is easy, we might not need to elect anybody, we'll just run governance from our own houses.
All right, we might just run governance from our own houses. Let's move now to the Punch newspaper. On the front page of the Punch, we have this investigative report. Adeleke alarms Akonyele's names on INEC register years after death. Open graves in Benue arrest herdsmen impounds 105 cows. 190 policemen flee training to avoid fighting Boko Haram. APC-PDP clash on Buhari Atiku's chances in Southwest. Police to parade arrest alleged killers of Bade. Allegations linking Buhari's family members to Keystone Bank. Other ownerships should be probed. That's coming from Atiku. Let's look at the major story here. Honorable Nwachukwu. We talked about just a few days to the elections. We are less than 60 days, and we are seeing the names of people who are dead still on the voter register.
Quite unfortunate that INEC are not living up to expectation. It's quite really unfortunate. If you're talking about the dead, what about the underage voters? What has been done about it? So it's quite unfortunate that the people at the helms of the affair, despite all the CSOs, they've been doing their work, they've been advocating for change, they were advocating for that things should be done better. Unfortunately, INEC have no reason why those names should still be there. They should sanitize the voters register.
But INEC is claiming that the National Population Commission that should be responsible for that role of registration of birth and deaths haven't supplied the names, or what they just supplied 10 out of 36 states or 3 out of 36 states. Would you still keep this bulk on the table of the INEC?
Currently I've attended several meetings with INEC and several INEC meetings for people that are under advocacy groups. And I realized that INEC is really working very hard to ensure that 2019 election comes out as the best.
You trust?
But I believe INEC is really working hard on that. But for every effort you put in, there has to be checks and balances too. And what INEC is missing out is the fact that now we had underage votings in time past. Now they published names and they've said, everybody go to your polling units and check if there are names of people you know that are no longer alive, there are names of people that you know that are not Nigerians. Please help us find out. So INEC is really pushing so hard to ensure that the list is the best and is our list that are eligible and legitimate. But such revelation is very good at this time because it helps us to understand that there is still a lot to be done. So I think what they need to do now is they need to have a very good relationship with the National Population Commission to ensure that all of these issues are resolved before 2019.
It seems you don't have the same trust he has on INEC.
Of course, I don't. I don't.
Why?
You see, remember that INEC, the recent election, using it as a benchmark they conducted in Osun State, is hopeless. And going by the election they just organized, I think, permit me to say that I don't have confidence in INEC.
And you don't think they would have improved between that election and their preparation for the next elections?
The problem with INEC is that they are not independent. I don't understand why a resident electoral commissioner should receive a phone call while he was announcing results. And if that happened and that man has not been tried and that man has not been investigated and nothing has happened to him, I thought we have election tribunal. And nothing has been, what is the guarantee that the forthcoming presidential election won't be rigged in partnership with security agencies?
All right, we'll move over now to the 2 papers we have remaining so that we can begin to round up the show. The segment. APC strikes Atiku for attack on Buhari's anti-graft wall. Ex-VP accuses president of doublespeak. Keyamo, Atiku a product of faulty system. But the 2 suspects held. IMF Lagos to grow by 4% to $136 billion GDP. Grow to surpass federal governments. Army confirms 14 killed in ambush. Buratai dashes to war front. On the front page of Guardian now, controversy over runaway policemen in Boko Haram fight. France headquarters dismisses report. Force headquarters dismisses report, says all troops on ground. Afinefere Haneze decry false claims on terror fight. Khan tackles El Rufai over plot to arrest cleric. There are other stories on the front page of the Guardian, but because of time, we'll not be able to take all of them for now. But let's just look at this controversy about runaway policemen. The report, a special report by Premium Times, says there are about 190 policemen who ran away from getting trained. The police is saying, no, it's not true that all 2,000 were in camp.
It's quite very funny because I heard one of the reports I read was saying that the police heard they were going to deploy to one of the hotspots for Boko Haram, where they are fighting insurgencies and the rest. So some of them heard it and some of them left the camp. And the major problem there is that the report was also saying that some of them left with ammunitions that were assigned to them for the trainings and the rest. So, and now the hospital is going to report that none of them left, that they are still intact. So now I think Nigerians need to, the first economy needs to come out and be transparent to Nigerians, because if truly the reports by Premium Times is right, that means we're at war. Because people that are not happy with the country run away with ammunitions. They might, and you know one thing about ammunitions, when you have ammunitions and you don't have to do anything good with it, it might turn out to do something bad with it, like going to armed robbery and the rest. So I think they should come out and be open to Nigeria and tell Nigerians exactly what is happening, so that we can also be part of this, to ensure that these policemen, we can talk to them, if it's to redeploy them to another place that is more convenient, or to talk sense into their head, because right now Nigeria doesn't need such an information. All
right, Honorable Mwachukwu, Premium Times is reputed for, they were the people that started the report on Adeosun, and now this. The police is saying this particular report is a lie.
Nigerian police, they are good at denials, of course. They are very good at lying to the Nigerian people. I don't compare Nigerian police with Lai Mohammed. I don't understand.
Let's not go there.
Each other. Yes, because it's very hard for them to say the truth. It's very hard. But don't blame them. You know why I will not even blame the policemen that absconded? Who is ready to die for Nigeria? The president said he was going to lead the war against terror from the front. We never saw him on the battlefield.
Are you ready?
Well, excuse me, wait. The last time we saw the president on the battlefield, he came on red carpet. And he told us he was going to lead from the front. Burutai, the chief of army staff, said he was going to lead from the front as well. Of course, we know there are cases, there are houses traced to him in Dubai. Remember, it was the IG of police who was ordered to go to one of the troubled areas. And the president said he was not even aware. Excuse me, if the IG of police could abscond from the place where the president asked him to go, how can you blame the ordinary policemen?
Let's go with this question. We don't have time again. Are you ready to die for Nigeria?
Maybe not this Nigeria, not this.
Scott, are you ready to die for Nigeria?
I'm ready to die for Nigeria.
Hallelujah. This is where we'll be drawing the curtain on these paper headlines for this morning. I had Mr. Jackson Chibo-Scott, a public affairs commentator, joining us on the segment. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure having me.
And also Honorable Timothy Mwachukwu, a public affairs commentator as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's been hot here. We will now move for the first discussion segment. Stay tuned.